live, but I don't know if we are.
I just clicked go live. It says going live. We're live.
We're live.
We are live.
Do I need to refresh my feed?
I don't know.
Jeez, maybe I will. All right. So, here we are. Which episode is this?
This
10?
is episode 10. We still have 25 to go.
25 to go.
But I got this one. I think we got
Before
it
you get
right.
a prize?
Audio
Right.
check.
Before we have to get it right.
Yeah, so it
If
looks
Cheech
good.
is the loudest this time, just holler.
Yeah, so you guys, as you're watching this, if we need to tweak the audio on this, usually I have the booming voice, and Lance doesn't.
What?
But anyway, we're excited on this one. Heidi, the joke is that we have until episode 35 to not have any audio issues.
All right.
So we might dial it down this time.
I think we're close. So, episode 10. Heidi Lewis here from Salt Lake City, originally from Wisconsin. Mm-hmm. Why don't you give us a brief rundown of your history, why you fish,
Okay.
how you got into it,
Yeah.
really quickly, lay some groundwork before we get into the heavy topics.
All right.
Yeah.
Easy enough. So I moved to Salt Lake in 1996, right out of high school. And I started fly fishing in 2012. I went to a F3T showing with my husband and his friends. And watching those videos, I was like, wow, this looks really fun. And I was
cool.
Yeah, I was kind of in a place where, I mean, I'd been fishing my entire life since I was 2. My dad was a charter fisherman on Lake Michigan. Like, so we went out a little bit. It's like in my lineage. It's in my blood. Goes way back. Grandpa was a commercial fisherman, yada, yada, Norwegian heritage. And so I saw that showing, and I was thinking my kids were getting a little bit older. And I'm like, I needed some time away from home. I need to go out and just do something for myself that didn't cost a lot of money. So I thought,
Burn.
I was like, I'm not
Joke's
gonna
on
go
you.
shopping. I can't
Yeah.
go play tennis by myself. So what should I do? And then
Yeah.
I went to that showing. I was like, okay, this is it. Like, I want to get into this. This looks really fun. And
Freaking intrusion.
all right,
She's trying to
cheers.
get that Dr. Pepper closer to the mic next
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Jeez.
I held it so far down. I have long arms. Anyway, my Dr. Pepper rudely interrupted you. Go on.
So I live not far from Western Rivers, and I would see people out there casting on the lawn. I just lived down the street, and so I was like, well, maybe I'll look up online and see if they have any classes or anything. And that year, it was like their 4th year or something of doing a women's class with Molly Semenick and Nick that works there. And so I signed up. There was like 1 seat left, and it's like, okay, this is it. Like, this is where I need to be. And the rest is history. We went on the water that weekend. I caught a couple fish, and I've been out probably once a week, like, ever since then. And
Cool.
Yeah, so let me tell you this. We knew we wanted to have Heidi on the podcast because she, if you follow her Instagram or if you've seen her pictures, she hits it hard. Like, she fishes hard. And Curtis and I invited her to go to Strawberry with us on the old White Snake boat. And I get a text from Curtis at night. He's like, hey, it's supposed to be 11 degrees when we launch. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's no bueno because we don't want the ramp to be frozen. So we reached out to Heidi and we're like, hey, we might want to push this. And she basically told us to cowboy up. She said, no.
this is the day we have.
We're going.
We got to go fish.
it.
And, we got out there, immediately noticed that Heidi knows her way around the fish. In fact, I'm kind of mad at Heidi right now because she caught the first 2 fish, just boom, boom. I was even fishing in the front of the boat. I had first chance at the fish.
I think you had the
First
best
water.
angle, too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
Just throw me in the back and let me fight for
Exactly.
myself.
Strategically angling her out of position.
Front ending, they call that on the boat.
Front-ended, yeah. She was properly front-ended, yet she's got a really good cast. She had her own fly that she had tied. What was that called?
The skittish smolt.
The skittish smolt.
Not my pattern, but my
Well,
own
I know,
tie.
but
Yeah,
you tied it and it killed. So yeah, we had a fun day out there. My face is still a little bit numb from that.
Oh.
Anyway, so no, when she says she fishes hard, gets out there every week. I mean that's no joke. We had to learn a lesson from that one. So that was good.
The end.
So the end. Yeah.
I mean, when you have the time to get out there, you just got to make it happen.
Gotta go.
Yeah.
Life's short, and
we did, yeah.
we're busy.
we're busy.
I will wear a mask last time. I think in the other boat we had the masks.
We had masks.
Yeah, those.
We looked like two
We were dressed.
aliens.
Everything was good except for the face.
And I even
head.
activated the hand warmers. So we didn't even end up needing
Yeah,
them.
and those were
Yep.
fine.
So don't be afraid. Just
Right.
get out there. You never know.
I will say though, Heidi came in clutch with the pickles.
The pickled
and
vegetables,
the
not just
peas,
pickles, but pickled beans
And cucumbers.
and cucumbers. Man,
and prosciutto.
she opened us up to and that.
the prosciutto wrap.
Oh man,
Tell me you brought a banana.
I was going to, and then I didn't. But next time I will.
You let us down a little
I fear
bit
no
there, but-
fruit. I will do it.
I'm with you. Bananas are welcome.
Yeah, thank you. Oh,
There's
we're-
why are people afraid of bananas on a boat?
I don't know.
I've never understood.
I've had some great days with
No,
bananas.
they're fantastic.
and they make you not get cramps.
Right. Yeah, I could test you.
Exactly. Well, we have a trolling motor, so we don't have to kick and everything. So,
Oh, that's good.
anyway, yeah. So, Heidi started a group called Utah Women Fly Fishers. So, tell us a little bit about that group and what it is and all that kind of stuff.
So I started that group because I don't always want to fish alone. I can't always, have my husband come along or find like a really good friend. Not a lot of my friends fish. Now more of my friends fish.
Yeah.
So it was started as a way to get women connected as, a means of finding other women to fish with for safety, for camaraderie, just to go explore, what have you.
Yeah.
It's kind of evolved from that. I mean, it's been pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a funny one, or not a funny one, but something that me as a full-grown Sasquatch, I don't have to think about is safety, right? If I want to go fish by myself in the backcountry or in a remote stream, I don't always have to think about like who else is going to be there. Do I want to run into anybody? Like
Or
what?
if you fell in, you just stand up. I'm
Exa-
still
well,
kind of in. You're
Lance
tall.
has that issue too with falling in and not being able to get back
Is that
up.
what that is?
No.
Let's go wade the river again. We'll see who falls in first.
Well,
I fall a lot.
yeah. Well, I'm better than Josh Graffam from Umpqua. We'll just say that right now.
I haven't sent that video yet. Right.
Right.
I got to find that on my computer.
There's some incriminating video of him swimming unintentionally. But yeah, talk to us about that a little bit, Heidi.
Well, I happened to be on a remote stream. I took a drive. We were coming back from Moab, and I took my car down this dirt road, went to the stream, didn't have a dog at the time, and I got down there, and I was like, this was, I think, before I started the group. I'm kind of looking around, and I'm like, I don't feel like super comfortable down here. For one, if I'm watching the storm come through. If a storm comes through, I might get stuck down here. It was a pretty gnarly road, and I was about 45 minutes in. Didn't have a dog with me. There was like this old trailer down there. Didn't seem like anybody was in it. Didn't know if it was like a forest. I don't know. And I'm by myself.
wanna
And
find
there's
out.
no service, right? So I get out. I'm looking at the river, and it looks so good. Like, this is where I want to fish.
Yeah.
Never been there before. And I just felt just super weird. Like something was watching me. Maybe it was some cats around. I don't know. And I looked at the river. I was like, I'll have to come back here another day. And I left. Like, I just did not feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
I think if I was with someone else, I probably would have felt different. Or if I at least had an animal with me. I didn't have any weapons with me at the time. And so that just kind of triggered hey, it's nice to be able to call on somebody.
Yeah.
If you need a buddy to go with. And I
Yeah.
think guys like to go fishing with other guys or other
Sure.
people too. I mean, so no different than that. But
For sure.
it's just easier to call on a woman. Like, my husband's not going to feel weird about it, or, things like that. It's just easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
and like we talked about this a little bit is, women don't always want to go fish with guys, whether it's your dad, your brother, your husband.
Yeah.
Like, for example, the thing that I was thinking about is we started seeing all these waterfowl, right? They're super fast. And Heidi's commenting on how cute they are, and look at that one. And I'm driving the bass boat trying to hit them.
Oh, you did.
But-
I was
oh,
so
sorry.
mad at you.
Yeah, I know, but I knew, Heidi, that I wouldn't hit him. So anyway, that's the conversations are a little different, or the observations in nature are even a little bit different. So
Yeah.
not all the time do they want to go fish with a guy that's going to hog the front of the bass boat the
Yeah.
whole day, right?
And you just don't want it to be weird of women like, hey, I'm gonna go somewhere. Anybody want to show up? And like a bunch of guys show up, and
Weirdos.
they're
Yeah,
like,
'cause
well,
you
I
get
don't
the
need a
creeper
date. I
army.
don't want to. I'm not
Hashtag
looking
creeper
for a
army.
date
No,
or
that's a
a
bad deal.
meetup. We just
Yeah.
want to like go fish. And I
Yeah.
love fishing with guys. I like fishing with anybody. I just
Sure.
like fishing.
Yeah.
So
True.
but
but
it's
putting that out on the internet is
that's
not a good idea.
Not always.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
unfortunately,
Sure.
it shouldn't be an issue.
You're right.
But it is.
Well,
It
and
is.
one of the questions earlier is why do we have to care about genders? Everybody fish.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
You don't
there
have
are. I mean, in some respects, there's some
Yeah.
differences that you have to be aware of. I hadn't really thought about the safety thing until you mentioned that the other day. I always bring a Sasquatch along,
Right.
for my protection.
yeah.
And who's
Have your
going to
Jerry.
protect me?
Gotta have a Jerry.
Lance.
Lance is there.
And his kung fu grip.
No, I'll just bring the 44 Magnum. We'll be okay.
Yeah, can you carry that thing, or do you want
Yes.
me to put it on my back?
Scandium frame, no problem.
They're saying I might need to be turned down just a little bit.
Okay.
Just a bit.
BRB.
So, dang it. That's just my way to get Curtis off the podcast for a little bit.
I mean, I just want to say it's probably no different than like a woman walking to a car in a parking lot at
Yeah.
night and looking around her.
Yeah.
Like I talked to this about my husband, and he doesn't get it either, and so that's fine. Like you don't have to understand the feelings, but know that it's real. And like as a woman alone, places like we just always have to watch our back.
Yeah.
It's just how it is. Like
Yeah.
unfortunately, so it's like almost ingrained in us. It's just kind of
It makes sense.
what our mothers teach us.
Yeah.
Just be
The world's a
aware of your
crazy
surroundings.
place. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's not as easy as just, hey, everybody treat everybody as an equal. It just
Well,
it
that would
doesn't
be
work
nice.
that
I mean,
way,
you can
right?
say that, and
Yeah.
let's keep saying that. But
Yeah, we would love that to happen.
but there are some not so nice people out
In
there.
reality.
There's not nice people. There are creepers.
Yeah. Did you turn yourself off?
You're,
Yeah,
we
I'm
can't
missing
hear you
you.
on here anymore.
Just turn it back to how it was, and we'll have to deal with it all.
Am I back?
Yeah, you're back.
So just realize that we're on a river, and it's majority men out there most of the time. That maybe we might be like, hey, hopefully nobody's like creeping on me, or
Yeah.
just that's just how we think.
Mhm.
Wherever we are, not
Right.
necessarily
Yeah.
on the river, but also there. So that maybe that's why you have to care about gender, but we'll get to why you don't have to care about gender. We'll
Exactly,
get to
yeah.
that.
Yeah, and that's a huge thing. Is when we went and fished, it was just a very organic thing. Like we got out on the boat, we fished.
We talked a lot about fishing.
We talked about fishing,
And we fished a
and
lot.
we
we
fished.
fished a lot.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
when we were getting done, Heidi was the one saying, "Man, it sucks that we have to leave."
I hate it.
So
Yep.
I always say it's easier to not go than it is to leave any time I'm fishing. I'd
that's
rather.
like a T-shirt or
it's
something.
so hard to. I never want the day to end.
Yeah. So let's see, and that is it's a fair question that he made. When do we stop caring about what the gender is? But there's still a lot of people that need a lot of work in that regard. We have a little whiteboard up here that we have a bunch of topics written down, and glaring at me on that one is the 50-50 on the water thing that we see from Orvis. But what does that really mean to you as a woman fly fisher?
I think it's hearing the industry welcoming us, right? Like, hey, there's a place for you. Let's encourage you to get out there. We have products for you. We can make it enjoyable. I mean, that's kind of what it means to me, is like it's a community. It's a welcoming community. It's a pretty broad statement. I think you can, dive into it pretty heavily if you want, but
Yeah, because I
that's what it
think
means to me.
that just kind of generally, you're going to find maybe more guys who are interested in fly fishing just purely from an interest-based thing, but we need to make it just as easy for a woman to get into fly fishing as it is for a guy.
Because maybe historically fishing has naturally been mostly men. I mean, women have always been
Yeah, sure.
anglers and
Yeah.
fishers, however, kind of any kind of way you fish, but it's majority male dominated.
Yeah,
This is how
sure.
it's been
Yeah.
through history.
And I think one of the things is I don't think it's attempting to ensure there's an equal split on the water. I mean,
That's
a
a goal. I'd say it's a goal.
It would be really tough, I think, especially I think the number we heard this last weekend was 3% of the industry. Women account for 3%.
Really?
Yeah, which
Wow.
was surprisingly low.
Oh, I thought it was
That-
higher than that, but maybe it
And
dropped.
who knows? It could
Okay.
that was I won't say who it was, somebody who's been in the industry a long time. He had a few beers in him, so it could have been.
I think he had a little bit more than beer.
Well, was he saying that as a positive thing or a negative thing? No,
he was saying it. Yeah, we were kind of talking about just the industry in general, and that was one of the things that came up. So
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you can't, like my son liked fishing a little bit more. My daughter's not so much. Not that that's necessarily gender related, but maybe overall there is a reason there. But I think the industry is doing a fair bit to ensure that there's gear, because that's a consideration, right? Like you were mentioning the other day, waders with knee pads.
Yes.
And guess what?
What?
We found some.
Did you?
The Orvis Pro
Are they?
women's waders have knee pads. And I think the
Awesome.
Patagonia Swift Current, the new ones, women's, also
They also have knee pads. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's about time.
Ditch
They're
those
Gosh,
Sims.
I've gotten some massive bruises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me too. Leaning,
Just-
or when I have to kneel on the boat, Cheech, I would like some cushioning.
when you're landing my fish. All right. What were you going to say, Lance?
I was gonna. Don't the new Patagonia waders have some padding in them too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
I don't
The
know about-
women's
so-
though, the men's always have.
I'm
They
not sure
do.
about the women.
I
Okay,
checked
cool.
So-
because I knew you
Awesome.
asked.
Yeah.
And we looked at it.
That's good
Unless
news.
I was up in the night, but
I'm
pretty
excited
sure.
about that.
Yeah.
And we're short, so like I find myself like kind of scouring up to get out of the water on the if there's a high bank. Like I don't have the gait you guys do. So, but we're walking through the river just like everybody else.
Right.
Yeah.
With those rocks, you go down.
Yeah.
It happens.
Here's a cool question, I think, from Larry. He says, Heidi, our TU has the Trout in the Classroom event with local 4th and 5th graders. The girls in the class tend to be shy and not want to participate. Any words of encouragement for them?
I would say just, look at them and call them over. Just engage with them. Ask them questions like, hey, do you want to learn about this? I don't know why they wouldn't. Maybe I'm not really sure. I have 2 young children, and they're pretty engaging, but everybody's different. I would just say ask them questions, just engage with them, make some eye contact, and really just, kind of go get them.
They could also maybe encourage girls to participate in
that's
the
what
class
I'm
in the way that they
bring them
roll
up.
that out. Make
Right.
sure that the girls know that they're welcome.
Yeah. Hand them a tool, whatever they're working with, or, just engage.
Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So good question, Larry. What else?
Well, let's talk about gear. I think.
Yeah, that's a good one. We kinda touched on it.
overall, if you were to say, looking at your gear selection, where do you see that you personally have felt? Well, yes, this needs to be different. No, it doesn't need to be accommodated. That sort of thing. We were at IFTD last week, and we did see a lot more like boots, waders, outerwear, but.
Yeah, I don't work at a fly shop. I'm not in the industry in that way, so I don't get to see everything.
Yeah.
But luckily enough, like in 2012 when I started fly fishing a lot, women's waders were coming in. So Reddington, Orvis, Patagonia just launched theirs.
Cool.
So when I got into it, I never had to have men's waders, but I did burn through waders based on quality. I found that they weren't as durable as the men's, because maybe statistically women didn't fish as often, which I think there are stats on that. Like I think the average person fishes 7 times a year, if that.
Wow.
Or something.
They obviously haven't
like
fished with you.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm kind of an anomaly in that way. So quality I have seen that has gone up. But as far as boots, our feet are narrow. I have a pair of men's boots. I have a pair of women's boots. Like I much prefer the women's, so I don't have to tighten them up. They're super wide and like clunky, and I hate that.
Yeah.
So gear is important to like feel comfortable and actually have it functioning, just like snowboarding gear, skiing gear. There's no difference.
Having it fit
and be really functional.
Yeah.
Makes it comfortable to be out there. I don't have to worry about tucking things in or relacing up or You know, just that's always nice.
Yeah, the first few times I went fishing with my wife, she was just wearing some of my waders.
Yeah.
And they're too big for
Oh, and
her.
the booties. Oh, I'm
Booties,
sure.
yeah, the feet are too big.
Yeah.
And when we finally got her own pair of waders, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
Waders, wading boots that fit. She's
Yeah.
just like, oh, this is way
Oh
better.
yeah, I don't want to take my waders off. Like I'm so comfortable
Yeah.
with my waders. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
just to, like, as long as I can stay in them, the better.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
comfortability, just as you guys like it. You know, like
Yeah.
things to fit.
Yeah.
I mean, it'd be no different. But making things like yeah, right.
that was half of my visit at IFTD. I'm just raking them over the coals. All right, you have women's stuff now. You need to be cognizant of the fat guys, okay? Because I need stuff that fits me.
Usually
I always thought you'd say you're inseam or something because you're very tall.
No, well, tall plus fat is a problem. Trust me.
Oh, dear.
He
It's a
wasn't
big
just
problem.
asking; he was pretty much demanding
Yeah.
each one. So these are really cool products you guys have here. I have one demand, basically.
Give
is what
me
it
my
came-
triple
I need
X.
triple X and everything. Or you go. It didn't have to be
Well, you're
sizing
probably
either.
not the only one.
It was just products in general. You guys make really awesome gear. I want you to make me something really awesome.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
and I did preface that by saying, hey, I have a selfish request.
You did.
Okay, so
To like every dealer there.
Well, now you know how women felt.
I know.
You know,
So-
not long ago.
exactly.
We
did
demand
mention
something that
Yep.
fits.
No,
Yeah.
that hits home for sure.
And if you ask for it and buy it, like, it's coming. I mean, there are some awesome women-owned companies in the industry.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some really awesome products out there.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the fly industry, Rainey's Flies has been around for a long time,
Yep.
run by Ellen and Rainey for the longest time, and everybody knows them.
Yeah.
You know, they do really good work.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
we were even designers with them as well for a little while.
And one thing I think is lacking in rods specifically is grips.
Oh yeah,
So I do have a Scott rod that's a women's rod. It's in the A4. They don't make it anymore. The grip is my favorite.
Cool.
I mean, I love my Winston rod. I like my Blue Halos. I have a lot of different rods that I like to fish. And they're all like, sometimes my hand just gets really fatigued hanging on to a big grip all
right.
day.
Yeah.
Especially if it's cold out or something. I mean, I have a tendency to like
Yeah.
shake it off and kind of get some muscle ache. So that, I don't know how to really work around that. I'm not a rod builder. I don't know if I would have to buy a rod and then take it somewhere so somebody could trim it down. I don't know how to get around that, or if I don't think any companies you can request.
If it's it is hard to request. If
So-
it's just too big, you could actually just sand it down.
Just sand
the
it
grip
with-
itself.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could do that. There are.
I'd be really nervous to do that on my own.
Yeah,
Like,
you'd probably wanna
you
have
know, you
somebody
want
do
it
it that-
symmetric or put it on some sort of lathe.
Yeah,
or
you'd
something.
want a
yeah.
lathe, and then you can just run
Yeah.
sandpaper down it.
Okay.
But that's work, right? You shouldn't
Yeah.
have to do that. You
Yeah.
should be able to get one that's
Yeah.
ready to go.
that being said, is I've tried. I used to build a lot of rods, and unless you have a specific rod building lathe, putting a piece of graphite and having it spin that fast, I broke a rod that way.
Oh, dear.
Yeah, because it goes all over the
fast.
place. But you know, use this platform to get it out
Yeah.
there. You know,
I mean, that might be
anyone
a
from
tough
the
one.
rod companies
Yeah.
are listening.
Right.
then, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, for me, that's huge. So
Yeah.
I'm just dealing with it now. Like I said, I don't really know how to get around that. But I mean, I don't know if you buy a rod, if you could have them special order something for you from the fly shop and or send it back and have the rod company trim it
Well-
down, just as you can get different footies
Yeah.
in your waders. Maybe you could just do a quick send
Yeah.
back, trim it up,
I
send
think
it,
there are some companies that will do that. Some of them
Yeah.
I found won't. But
Yeah.
you could certainly get a blank from not all, but most companies and just have it custom made.
Yeah,
But that's, again, that's trouble.
that's big. Yeah,
Yeah, extra effort.
it is. So
But if you think about it, they're making women's waders and women's boots and women's gear.
awesome.
A rod's just another piece of that equation. Like,
Yeah.
I don't think it would be that hard. You know. The
Yeah,
fir-
we were talking to somebody about grips at IFTD.
Loomis. I think.
Oh yeah, it was Loomis.
Yeah.
And kind of how they've taken a little bit different approach into how the grip is contoured, but yeah, why can't they just do that? I mean, would seem minor.
yeah.
Yeah. And I run into that too. I have huge hands, and some grips feel good, like the 8-weight grips typically feel good in my hand, and some of the 5-weights just feel a little bit small.
Right.
Anyway, yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Let's
Any other
see.
gear,
Yeah.
like
I mean,
That's pretty much.
there's a lot of great options.
Yeah.
Just keep making things that last is all I can say
Yeah.
to anybody watching there. Making stuff is, I mean, we fish hard. There are a lot,
Yeah.
Women fish just as hard, and burning through gear is expensive and it sucks.
Yeah.
So I blow out boots. I mean, I've gone through a lot of wading boots. They're great, but I walk a lot too, and so and things naturally fall apart. I mean, everything has a life cycle.
Yeah.
All waders will leak at one point.
Sure.
But you want to get as much out of them as you can.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. Another one that we should cover, and something that maybe fly shops don't think about, but when a woman walks into a fly shop,
Yeah.
how does that go for women sometimes?
Yeah. So I personally haven't had any too terrible experiences. When I went into my local fly shop, I got to know the people. When I was learning, I went and picked their brains and sat and talked to them, and everybody was really warm and inviting. We got to know each other. So I don't have bad experiences in fly shops, but a lot of women do, and I talk to a lot of women, and that was a really common theme. Is I think men need to realize that women have been fishing longer than they think. Maybe, and a lot of them know more than you think they know.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And so don't assume that just because it's a woman coming in a fly shop that she doesn't know anything.
Right.
I think that's a kind of a common, ask the same questions as you ask to the guys that come in. Have you been fishing lately? Where have you been? What can I help you with? Just don't assume.
Yeah.
Based on gender, that they don't know anything, because there are some really badass women anglers out there that know a lot, and I learn from, and vice versa. And so I think just that image, that that persona of thinking maybe we are new. I mean, women have been around in angling for a long time.
Right.
We're just maybe coming out of the woodworks a little more, with the 50-50 and things like that. The conversation is it's more comfortable for us to be out there and to hang out at the fly shop for an hour and ask questions and talk about fishing and share stories, and it's more common.
Yeah.
Imagine
So
if
get used to it.
Yeah.
Imagine if Joan Wolfe walked into a fly shop and nobody really knew who she was, and she said, "Hey, can I cast this?"
Or if
rod?
she was with her husband.
Yeah.
Would you
Yeah.
immediately talk to the husband? That happens a
Right.
lot. That's
Yeah,
kind
it
of
does.
a common thing. Is
sure.
That's what I'm hearing.
Right.
And so just approach us like you would any other customer.
Yeah, we have a few female anglers that come in, and they just you go over and you listen to them talking about the fly patterns or whatever. It's okay, these girls know what
Right.
they're talking
Yeah.
about, So
Yeah.
that's one of the things when we started Fly Fish Food is, you hear about the jerk that works in the fly shop, or the personality they call it in a fly shop, and in general that just doesn't fly, regardless of gender. But women probably deal with that a lot
That's
more.
rule number one, I think. Just don't be a jerk to people. But,
Right. No matter who. Yeah.
But you're right, though. I mean, don't assume, regardless of people that walk in. I mean,
Yeah.
we have all sorts of people that come in the shop, and I'm sure you could always jump to conclusions, but
Yeah, we're humans. We judge people. That's how you
Yeah.
figure out what's right and wrong.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we naturally judge, but start with a conversation first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I would just encourage anyone to do that.
Tell them about Joyce that comes in and buys
yeah,
materials.
so Joyce is a lady that's come into our shop ever since we opened, and I've known her for 20 some odd years. I worked at a fly shop in college, and she would come in. She, at the time, didn't fish a ton, now doesn't much as far as I know, but she ties tons and tons
Constantly.
of flies
For who?
for people who are going on trips. She's just...
She sells them? Or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
She
She's-
commercially ties for I think several shops in the West Yellowstone area too.
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, that's
cool.
right. Yeah.
Okay.
And just the biggest fly tying passionate person that you would ever meet. And if she came into our shop, your first glance would be, this little old
Yeah,
lady.
what
But
is she
man,
doing
she'll tie
here?
circles around people, right? I
Wow.
mean, she's been doing it for a long
She's
time,
really good.
and she's really good.
Cool.
And very specific. So you never know. That's that's the awesome thing. And
Yeah.
we do have a lot of women that come in that tie,
Yeah.
and they'll come from a long distance because of the selection that we get.
Yeah.
but it's great to see different people and kids, everybody that comes in. It's just, you never know.
Right.
So,
Well, even old Brig was in. He was up on a ladder because he was trying to hang some shelves that were like 3.5 feet above the ground. So he was in, and his wife Chance came in, and she had the biggest grin on her face because she caught some fish on a fly that she had tied, and they go hit it pretty hard, So it was cool to see that, she loves to go out and fish, and pretty soon she'll be out fishing Brigham, but he takes her all the time. And,
it won't take long.
It's cool. No, it won't. So we know Michelle. She's commenting here. Michelle Babcock. She says, "What's up?" I know that you two go back, and I know that Michelle hits it hard. She started tying flies quite a bit, and
She's
I would
so good.
Yeah,
She's
she'd have all the
come a
right
long way.
questions. What do I do with this dubbing, or how do I
Yeah.
tie in this? And it was really cool
Yeah.
to see that progression as
Well,
well.
I mean, you both are very approachable. I remember like messaging you one night, like, I need to tie some ants. This is the material I have. Like, what should I do? And it was kind of late, and you messaged me right back, and you helped me out, and I came up with something. I was so grateful for that. Like, isn't you guys are really awesome. Like, if anyone hasn't been in the shop and you're in the area, you got to come see it. It is mind blowing how much
we
stuff
have a
you
few
have.
things down there.
Things I didn't even know existed. And I'm not a huge tyer. I tie a little bit, but I was like, whoa, that I might want to get some of that. That looks fun. And I've met so many women that have started in this community tying flies. I had no idea. Like, people would just tie flies that have never fished.
Right.
That was really surprising to me.
Yeah.
How many women specifically I met, that's their story.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and if you've ever tried to teach a guy to fly cast or to tie flies versus a girl, like, the guys don't listen. They think it's all about
I've
power
heard that
and-
before.
Yeah. And so my daughters, when we go out in the front yard and practice casting, they have the feel, and they do it. My son, he'd rather just throw the bait casters.
Yeah.
So more power to him.
Right.
But, that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
And by the way, my wife will, like, she'll see Facebook messages or whatever up on the computer, and she's like, all these girls always text you about fly time. Like, yeah, because they're hardcore customers. They tie like crazy.
Well, and you're nice and approachable, and that's part of it.
That's just 'cause you don't know 'em
good
very
thing.
well.
Maybe a couple more fishing trips.
I'm nice
I'm
to
teasing.
99.9% of the people, and Lance falls out of that percentage.
At 0.1.
Well, Ed, I see Ed put on there the most recent study by the Recreational Boating and Fishing Foundation. 31% of 6.5 million Americans who fly fish are women.
That sounds right.
Sound a
That's
little more
just
accurate?
just fishing, not necessarily fly.
He says
He
fly
says
fishing.
who
Okay,
fly fish.
30%. That sounds a little
So,
more of what
yeah.
I've heard recently.
So maybe I misheard 3.1% versus
That was the
31.
beers that were
I would
left
bet
on
you're-
the number.
Yeah.
It could be.
I would bet your information
We learned a
was,
few other things.
give or
that
take 20 years old, too.
yeah.
Yeah.
True.
See, Northern
Yeah.
gentlemen. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
we ran into Heather Hodson.
Oh, yeah.
And she said to say hi.
Oh, awesome.
But yeah,
her.
lot of women at the IFTD last week.
Oh, I wish I could have been there. It looked fun.
Yeah, it was awesome getting to talk to everybody, seeing all the new gear.
Yeah.
And, yeah, just hanging out. And,
Good time. It's
See
nice
the
to be
show.
around your people.
yeah, our
You
people.
can really geek out.
That's
and
right.
It's awesome.
Oh, geez, tell me about
I remember
it.
the first women's trip I went. And speaking of Michelle,
Yeah.
her and Shelly organized it. We went to Island Park to Henry's Fork, and I had just when Instagram got going, kind of when I started fishing, it kind of happened at the same time, and that's how I met a lot of the women. Facebook, and we show up to Henry's Fork with a group of women, and we all were like super fishy, and I was like, my people. I was like speechless. I'm like, I had no idea there were other people like you that thought like I did, and
Right,
we're the same gender, and we could do this together. And that trip changed my life really, and really encouraged the group and more ladies trips to come. That were so thank you, Michelle.
There you go, Michelle. She says, hi, sissy. Yeah, that's her way of saying hello.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, but speaking of Instagram, it's like, we see pictures of, it's usually you and your dogs and just fishing, it's
being outside,
hitting it hard, showing how stoked you were when you caught a fish that ate a big dry fly or something like that. And I think that Instagram, regardless of gender, is kind of moving away from just like sharing the stoke.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And even at Fly Fishing, you know, we run a business and we show stuff that's for sale and stuff like that. But I think that with sometimes with the Insta angling community, it's more, you know what, I'm going to do whatever I can to get pro staff X or free stuff Y, or I'm going to do a giveaway so they can get 10,000 followers. And I remember talking on the boat, you just said, I just want to go to Instagram to check out fish.
Yeah.
You know, and I think
share
that's
the
way
stoke
cool.
or share the story of the day or your trials and
Yeah.
your, you know, successes and you know, I've met some awesome people through that community too. So it's not all bad.
No.
But it can get icky too.
Yeah. Oh,
You
yeah.
know?
So, and we talked about that. I mean, that's kind of the elephant in the room with some of the women who post on Instagram who are in the fishing industry. Maybe they're not showing it in the best light. You know, when we talked about that, and I don't think we have to go very deep into that, but I think people know what we're talking about. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I think you can weed through that pretty well.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, and to
Yeah.
each their own. Like, I don't care. If
Yeah,
somebody
whatever.
wants to post whatever they want, that's fine. If I don't want to look at it, I
gotta choose.
I don't look at it.
That's
I mean,
huge.
It's
Yeah.
easy. You just it's a little button. You don't you can just never see them again
Yeah.
if you
Yeah.
don't want. So, you know, you can make it a big deal, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
And so, you know, it's easy to pass by that stuff if you just want to stay positive with it.
That's so big, because I think Instagram is one of those, or social media as a whole. People want to just, you know, negativity is so easy to come by there.
Well, and jealousy too.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, there's and that goes both ways. Genders, you know, doesn't
Sure.
matter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, I mean, and that's huge advice. Just, I mean, as you're scrolling, and if you always have that in the back of your mind, is this
Yeah.
positive, or
Right.
you know,
Well, and I think, again, regardless of gender, sometimes your esteem gets wrapped up into how many likes you get, and it becomes this never-ending quest to get more followers, more likes, and people in general, again, but again, if we're talking women, they'll sometimes take a different path or a different route. And again, it's not specific to women only, but
right.
you know, it's one of those things where, like, your Instagram is hardcore fishing.
It's all fishing.
Yeah, I mean, and that's awesome.
That's what I
why-
use it for.
Yeah, right. And kind of a collaboration with other fishermen, women and men, but I think
Yeah.
it turns out to be a good tool if you want it to, a bad tool if you get wrapped up in for the wrong thing, the wrong reason. And but anyway, yeah, to each their own.
Yeah. I mean,
Everybody's gonna-
for me, it's easy to use because I'm not there selling anything because I choose
Right.
not to. And so
Yeah.
I just use it just to share. And I know it's pretty organic. And if I don't want to put a picture up, I don't have to. And so for me, that makes it easy that I can just kind of do my thing. And
Yep.
But other people use it for other means and it works for them. And that's cool.
Yeah, I mean, Cheech's topless photos go a little far.
Or how about the white sneakers?
the white sneakers. No, hey, I have
dad
some new dad shoes on today. I don't know. I'd have to take one off and hold it up. To the camera. I'm not gonna do that.
We won't do that.
But shout out to New Balance 574. Please send me some. I will do anything to get
I love
on your
my New
pro staff.
Balance too.
Yeah. See? That's what I'm saying.
But they're not white.
They're not white yet. So, no. And for the record, my dad's shoes are denim. They're literally made out of denim.
The ones you have on now?
No, not
Oh.
these, but the Air Monarchs that I have. So,
Hey, her monarchs.
anyway, it's okay to go all out to get pro staffs for dad shoes. Maybe not flies.
What about Crocs?
Crocs?
Oh, I
Oh,
love
yeah.
my Crocs. I
Yeah.
love my Crocs.
Lance
Lance is a national spokesman for Crocs.
I'm not a national spokesman.
So tell us how that went.
Well, how what went? I
The-
have
the
I
Croc
have old
thing.
Crocs, and they were making fun of me for my old Crocs
Yeah.
in here one time because I wear them fishing.
Right.
And
You don't garden in them?
I don't do any gardening.
The
the national sales manager for Crocs contacted me through Instagram and said, "Hey, I'll hook you up with Crocs." So I got 3 or 4.
I mean, how can you say no to that?
I didn't.
No,
I said,
you would.
I send them over.
Right.
I asked him if I could just pick them. I did pick some. Then he sent me a bunch more that I didn't pick.
Right. Like
So
no
Crocs,
strings attached?
No strings attached.
Well, hey.
Yeah.
You know?
So eat your heart out, New Balance.
That's
You know, I mean, Crocs are where it's at.
You wait, New Balance is listening.
Yeah?
They're going to hook me up.
Okay.
14 double E.
We're now on the Slim Jim Pro
I was gonna
staff.
say never second guess, because Slim Jim did comment on your last Instagram
No,
post.
that was the highlight of the IFTD.
Did they really?
Yeah.
Smith has
Oh,
these
right. I
Macho
saw
Man
those.
Savage.
Yeah. Did you take those home with you?
No.
Okay.
No, my wife, I wanted to get in the house, so I left.
I didn't want to say anything because I want to keep Instagram positive.
Right.
Well, those are awesome. They're really cool if you have the right, you're the right
Jumpsuit, if you have like the right,
I don't know.
you know.
Oh, that's what we were
None
missing.
of us could pull them off. You probably could.
Oh,
But the rep that he borrowed them from, he pulled them off just fine.
yeah.
The Wildcat frames, they're awesome,
Okay.
but they're I couldn't fish.
They
in
look
them.
really comfy.
They-
Like no wind gets in
Yeah.
there, you know.
The problem with
Appreciate
that is
that.
I assessed it right there. It's like I can't grow a mullet because my hair doesn't grow down; it grows up.
Yeah.
And so you'd have to have a mullet to wear those.
Right.
So I,
Okay. But
Well,
they would
that
be good on the
cancels me
boat.
out.
I mean, it keeps the air out. Running the white snake
The white
with those
snake.
glasses on.
okay.
I could see that.
I haven't had a
Combo.
mullet since the '80s, so I'm out.
Good. Yeah. Nobody needs a mullet.
No.
Oh,
Sorry
geez.
if anybody has a mullet.
So the other thing, Heidi, is you tie flies, and you were talking about soft hackles, and you have some techniques that are maybe a little bit different from the way that we would approach fishing, and that's cool. We can learn from that. Talk to us about fly tying and how much you do it, or how you got into it, and stuff like that.
Right. So I'd go into the fly shop and I kept buying the same flies over and over. I'm like, okay, well, maybe this might be a good intro to fishing or to tying.
That's usually kind of the thing that gets
Right,
people
is
pushed.
pick your couple favorite flies and start with those. So you don't have to buy a ton of material. Because I didn't know how. What was really hard for me getting into tying before you guys were showing everybody how to do it was what materials do I really need? And then how do I use them? How do they work?
Yeah.
That was really hard for me to figure out. So I'm like, I'm just going to tackle a couple different flies and then build on that. And I really love swinging flies and swinging soft hackles. And they're really easy to tie. They're very easy to fish. So I tie a lot of those. I'll tie some streamers. So now I have more of a broad range, but I'm still a little scared of dry flies. I don't tie many dry.
For as much as you dry fly fish.
I know, and I don't tie those, but I got to pick my battles with the time I have also. And so, yeah, biots really rack my brain. I'm just not good with them. So
Okay. Tie up some bionic ants. It's
'Kay.
just foam. Any monkey
like a
can
sailor
tie
ant?
those.
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I
similar,
tie
yeah.
those. Okay,
Yeah,
I tie
easy.
those. Yeah, those are easy. You got foam, but you're not working with turkey biot. I love fishing cripple blue wings, and I need a
Nice.
biot for that, and I don't tie those. I think I even have everything, and I'm I'm really scared to I just haven't
Because it'll break.
dove it. Yeah, but you soak them in water first, right? Isn't
You
that,
can.
Mm-hmm.
That helps. Okay. But I took a class. So at my local fly shop, again, I took a class to kind of just get the basics. I mean, I learned better doing in person where I can ask questions and look.
Yeah.
And I'm a big question asker.
Yeah.
And so that was a great start to be in a class and make sure I'm there. But now I go on YouTube and I play and pause and play and pause and probably just like everybody.
yeah.
Yeah.
But it's really fun. It's so rewarding. I mean,
yeah.
catching a fish on your own fly. It's full circle right there in the world of angling. It's so cool.
Especially when you catch 2 fish in a row right in my face.
Right in your face.
Right on the cliff wall
Rub
where
it
we
in.
said this is where they are.
I also lost a big one in there too.
Oh yeah. We weren't going to mention that, but yeah, she totally.
And at the end, took my fly.
may or may not have broken off on a monster.
Oh, I'm still thinking about that fish.
Curtis would have he was on point with his netting that day.
Yeah.
too.
Netting and filming with the
Well, yeah.
phone.
Yes.
Yeah. With the phone.
Yeah, we got some action shots.
Hey,
Netting.
here's a question. Heidi, do you think women approach fly fishing differently, just as a whole? Guys may have their idea of what they want out of a fishing trip. I don't know.
Okay, as far as trips goes, yeah. I mean, I think women have a tendency to really love the adventure of going somewhere. I mean, fishing is a part of it, but again, the camaraderie of being around other women. I definitely hear that as a theme. Like, I want to meet new people, I want to hang out, I want to have an adventure. There's more to it than just fishing. I mean, I can't speak for men, so you guys tell me. I mean, do you think...
We just like to get out in nature.
That's the big joke when you get skunked.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
You know, thinking about that, you know, just from this question, I don't hear many women come in and say, I caught 47. The biggest was 22 inches, all on 2X tippet, all on 6X and a 2-weight.
There's definitely a lack of ego in our women's trips, which, you know, there's a lot of patting on the back and good job, or, you know, it's okay, you'll get the next one. Like, I fish with guys too. I don't hear a lot of that when I'm fishing with other guys.
Oh, especially when it's
It's like the opposite.
Yeah. I mean, even with my husband, he's like, if I can cast farther than you, then I'm a better angler. You know, there's got to be something that he, you know, like bigger, better, whatever, you know. He's a really good angler, but I don't get to fish with him a whole lot. But yeah, I mean, I think we approach it a little different for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point. When you said that the other day, we had kind of talked about this when we were out fishing, and I didn't think about it that way, but that's, you know, the kind of the encouragement, a little bit more of the not having a bunch of ego out there or whatever. But so
just patting on the back.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe more mentoring. I know a lot of women have come to me in the group if we have an outing, like, I'm here because I want to learn how to tie my own fly on. My husband or boyfriend or whomever, a guy friend, won't let me do it. He just wants to do it. So I'm like, all right, well, let's get you dialed in, and you know, and approaching another woman in that case where you're kind of vulnerable, like, I don't really know what I'm doing. It's more comforting, you know, to have another woman maybe there to show you. So I like the mentoring aspect. You know, we like to go to the park and cast with other women, and it's not all fishing, really. I mean, we have the most like turnout just casting at the park, which is pretty fun. There's no fishing involved. You know, so
you know, it's interesting. We talked to Madison Hyde, who's awesome.
I know her.
Yeah, she's super cool. We talked to her at IFTD, and she said she was doing some women's rowing
classes. I know. I had some friends that went to that this summer.
Yeah, and so we're like, hey, that would be awesome. Like, it would be cool to just have you teach it for both. And she's like, yeah, it's better to teach
I'll
the
just
women.
teach the women.
So
Madison, do another one. I want to go next summer.
So and it was super cool. Like, she gets after it. Like, she fishes
she's
hard
into
too.
it.
She knows what she's doing. Like, she 100% is going to row better than me and Curtis. Maybe not Lance, but
in her defense, like she said, she doesn't want to go teach a bunch of 60-year-old men when she's in her 20s. Like, you know, guys are going to get there and go, "You're going to be my teacher."
Yeah,
and
they'll size her up. They'll probably size her
at
up.
them and go,
"Yeah, I'll
dang
row
right,
circles around
I'm going to row all over the place."
Yeah. You know, the older generation, I think they have maybe a harder time with that.
For sure.
Yeah.
But I've had some older men that have been like very awesome mentors for me too. So I mean, I can't, you know, you can't say always for any. You can't generalize too much, because I mean, some of my favorite mentors are, you know, way older men.
Like,
you know,
Curtis old.
Way older. way.
Yeah, those are awesome thoughts to have on that whole deal. Like, the teaching of classes. Like, what would we do? Like, what would you recommend for like a fly tying class for women? Because I think if a guy teaches it, it's kind of maybe a little weird. I don't know. What would you do there?
I mean, maybe just call it co-ed. Maybe just that term. Yeah. You know, of just say, hey, this is co-ed. Bring a snack. Like when we get together for meetings.
Bring pickles, Heidi.
I'll bring some pickles. Gosh, I love pickles.
You can bring bananas this time too.
You know, like, we try to make it like an evening to like hang out too. You know, so like we're always like BYO, whatever you want to drink, and a snack to share. So it's, you know, it's a community event. You know, it's not just like we're putting our head down and we're gonna tie, and you know, and I mean, that's fun too. I do that at home, you know, late nights when I have time at midnight, and no one's bothering me to head down and tie. But I can help you get the word out too.
Yeah,
but I know
that'd be
you
awesome.
mentioned you're like, I would love to have a woman work here at the shop, and
Yeah.
I mean, it's fun to like
Knock us down a notch or two.
have somebody keeping you in line a little bit.
So I
Absolutely.
I was a blue quill angler one time just on a work trip, and they have a woman working there. I didn't catch her name. I can't remember. I'm terrible with names, but like I was asking her about some of the places. I got better info from her than I've gotten from someone at a lot of shops. And she's like, gives me the elbow, and then she's like, yeah, everyone's throwing midges there. You should throw a streamer or two. She's like, your complex twist bugger, try that one there. And I'm just like, that's really cool.
Thanks for sharing.
That's insightful. I would have never thought to do that.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Well, that's the point I wanted to make, like encouraging women to like show up to your fly shop and talk to the people working there and get to know them, help them. Maybe they just don't know how to approach you, but if you're there, if you're showing up and you're having a conversation, then you've opened up the conversation for everybody. And so if you have a tying night, like women, show up, like be here. You're here. I know you're here. I know you're out there. I see you a lot. And so I want to encourage women to like, don't be scared.
Yeah.
It's a little intimidating, but you can do it. It's just a fly shop. You guys are super nice. The fly shop's awesome. Find your people, find where you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Whatever shop that may be.
That, we got 5-10 minutes left. So if you were just to have some advice for, specifically a woman that's wanting to get into fly fishing, what, you mentioned be involved. I mean, what are some other things that you would think, knowing what you've been through, knowing what maybe some of your friends, what's some advice for a woman who says, hey, that's cool, I don't have any women friends locally, or what are some things that you could say to
Well, I mean, I jumped into the sport not knowing any women anglers. I mean, there happened to be a women's one-on-one class at my local fly shop, which I know is not the case in most places. But even if there is not a women's class, like they can still teach you, like just what I said, show up, be there, take a class, learn, get comfortable. Also, there's a really good community called United Women on the Fly that Heather started. There's a Facebook group, which is all around the country and even, I think, beyond the United States. And there are groups. There's a website where you can find groups in just about every state now. So the community is there. It's a little different online than in person. But, getting to your local fly shop and look at what classes they have. I mean, I always encourage women to like take classes, like get comfortable with the tools you have, your equipment, and then, build on that, and you'll find more women once you get out there. But if you're not reaching out, how are you going to find other women? So there are avenues. United Women on the Fly, Utah Women Fly Fishers. Our next meeting in November, I'm going to be presenting my soft tackle presentation that I've done before at Western Rivers in Salt Lake City. Yep.
Nice.
It's November 18th at 6 p.m. And so, I mean, come to that. Like, I love the simplicity of swing and soft tackles.
They're awesome.
Just keeping it simple, like getting out there where you just need a leader and a fly. You don't need a whole, really anything else. And, and just, you can get really overwhelmed with all the different options you have and ways to fish a fly that it gets a bit overwhelming. And so keep it simple and share, some of the more simple aspects so you can just get out there and you don't need to figure out you need 3 knots and a leader and maybe some tippet. You can keep it really simple, and maybe that will help, encourage them to get out where you don't feel like you have to know all this information to go fishing. And most men in fly fishing are really fun to fish with, really inviting. So you don't have to just fish with women. I mean, I'm not saying that's the only way.
Sure.
This community is awesome. They're great people in it, and ask questions. Don't be afraid.
That's a big one. Michelle said there's a group in Boise that she knows of.
Right.
And then
all over the West. There's a bunch of groups. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and as a fly shop owner, make sure that your employees know what your expectations are when you're treating customers, especially women, because, I mean, from a business side of it,
Right.
You're going to alienate yourself if you don't treat women with respect, or if you don't have that vibe that's inviting.
Yeah, keep that conversation open, of maybe this is what you could say. I mean, this is what you say to everybody. Don't change it. Don't change it no matter who walks in. I mean, that's just a business approach,
Yep.
It's like the time that a kid came in and asked Lance if he'd ever heard of a red dart. This was a long time ago in the other shop, and he just goes along with, yeah, I know that fly. I think it works pretty well. And I came storming out of the back. Hey, that's Lance Egan right there. Oh, this is your fly? It was
fun.
awesome.
Yeah.
But, just that level of customer service is huge, especially when dealing with women that might not feel comfortable asking a lot of those questions.
Yeah, knowing that most women walking into the fly shop, I would say majority, probably are not comfortable coming in. So just know that.
Yeah.
And tap into your sensitive side. A little bit. I'm sure your wife has told you that.
Right. Lance is really good at it.
Okay.
Lance is good at customer service.
I
in
think
general.
one thing I will mention that's interesting. I float rivers a lot in the summer, and when I'm floating, I have kind of a normal. I'm finding, just listening to you, I'm finding that as I'm evaluating myself, I change that. When I'm going down the river and I see guys fishing, I'm like, hey, how's it going? What's going on? And when I see girls, I oftentimes will say, but I won't have the same. I won't ask all the same questions, and half the time for me, it's because I don't want them to feel like I'm trying
weird.
to that I'm trying to hit on them, because I'm always going down with my other married friends. We're not trying to pick up any girls.
We appreciate that.
Yeah, but I will say, like, how's it going, right? But then if they kind of give you the, oh boy, here comes some more guys, because I can only imagine that some of the on a popular river like the Provo, let's say, I'm sure that half the people that float by want us to stop and the tubers, let's say, more than, because there's not very many people fly fishing floating the river.
Tubers.
But anyway, I find just as you're speaking, I'm going, I'm guilty of that. I change things up a little bit. Hopefully not too much, but
well, I think if you're sincere, we hear that.
Yeah.
If you sound creepy or that you're hitting on, we can pick up on that. Women know.
Sure.
So just don't be creepy.
Right.
Don't sound creepy unless you want to.
Unless you're trying to be creepy.
Unless you're trying to be creepy, or unless you want to be like, hey, maybe she's single and that's cool. Meet people, that's fine. But we can pick up on it. So if you're sincere, we'll hear you. I've heard some things on a river though. Last year we were steelhead fishing. Yeah, next year maybe we'll see you guys out here in the summer in your bikinis. We're like, why? Yeah. Why do you even need to say? We're like, it's not funny.
Man,
we've heard jokes where I'm just like, did you just shout that across the river to us? That sexist joke? It's not funny. Not cool with that. So if you're just a nice person and you're sincere, we'll hear you.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
That's about a wrap.
This is usually, it's an awkward ending.
Well, I want to thank you guys for having me here and having this conversation.
Absolutely.
It's super cool. Yeah. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. Even though we're just a bunch of ugly, squatchy dudes, we like to think that that's something that we could maybe help get the word out with.
Love it.
So how do people get in touch with Utah Women Fly Fishers? What's the best way?
We have a Facebook group where you have to, it's a closed group. You can find it, but you have to ask to come in. And then we're on Instagram, Utah Women Fly Fishers. And I also have a Facebook page, which is public. So if you message that, it will come to me. And then all of our events, I try to get them on Instagram and on the closed group. Cool. So I understand not everyone's on Facebook, so I try to get it on Instagram, or you can email me, HeidiAqua@gmail.com.
Okay. Yeah, the other thing with Instagram, with Facebook, it's super easy to start a group. So say you're in Phoenix or Sacramento or whatever, and you have you think that something like that could benefit your area. It's not that hard to set up. That'd be kind of cool.
And if you contact United Women on the Fly, if you contact Heather, you can get your information on that central web page to get the word out too. On the web, you don't have to have Facebook for that.
Yeah.
So, if you have a local fly shop around, ask the guys to have you there, or if you know. So I like the fly shop vibe, and you know,
for sure,
doing things in person, real life, not just on the phone. So yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's all just about respect, being nice.
Yeah.
That's it.
Having fun.
Having fun.
Fishing hard.
And sharing fish stories. Yeah. That's always fun.
Lance always has a fish story that's hard to validate.
Is it?
Not usually.
I always have to give him a little bit of crap. All right. Well, we super appreciate you coming on here.
Yeah, thank you.
We'll have to go fishing again.
I would love that.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe get you Euro nymphing this winter.
I've done some high sticking, but not true Euro nymphing, and I like
We know a guy.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. I can always learn something new in fishing. That's the best part about it, right?
That's right.
You're talking about Brigham, right? All right. Cool.
Okay.
Signing off.
Thanks for listening.
Yep.
Peace out.
Later.